Hi everybody, my name is Lizzie with Dizzy Lizzie Papery. I am coming to you today to talk about crazy quilting, or just, I guess, any kind of quilting, a junk journal cover, any journal cover really. I created this one last night, and some of the feedback I got back was really positive, and a couple people asked for tutorials. I am no pro. I am not a seamstress. I am not a professional, but I have been having fun putting these together. It's quite a bit of work, so I guess after you join me for this, you can decide if you'd like to make one too, or maybe you have an easier way to do it. But basically, for this one, I created a 2 signature cover, and this was my interior fabric. So I chose my interior fabric first, I laid it upside down, and then I put my insides on top of it, and my, I guess I would call it like a map, the map of my pieces on top of a nice soft cotton fabric batting. And I happen to have some offcuts from my mother-in-law's quilting, and it's got this really nice soft batting in it, and then it even still has some of the fabric from whatever she had quilted on it, which makes it even, I don't know, there's something about that feeling that's so cushy. So I'm going to make today's cover out of this piece here. So I'll do a smaller version of this, and hopefully that'll go a little faster than making this one did. And we'll see how it turns out. I have no plan other than I have lots of fabric like this, and I want to do a lot of Americana journals. I signed up for my first craft fair in October. I'm on a wait list. I don't know if I'll get it, but I want to, you know, definitely be prepared, certainly. So, plus I have an Etsy shop called Dizzy Lizzie Papery, and that's where I will try to sell these things as well. But I make them for myself also. And I should have had those here for you to see. Pause. Okay, so carrying on, I went and grabbed some of the covers that I've made already and that I'm working on. So I made this one last night. I would say, I don't know, it takes equally as long to map together the scraps as it does to sew for me. And I can't tell you how long it took me from start to finish, but I did start it yesterday and finish it yesterday. The inside is Amazon packaging and the batting from my mother-in-law's quilt offcut. So it has a wonderful crinkly sound. It's super hardy and flexible, and that's just an added bonus to having so many stitches in it, I suppose. I don't know if there's a way to do this. You know, it's not a set pattern. I just followed my blocks the way that it made sense in my head, which, you know, if history proves anything, it's that my brain works a little bit differently than others. But maybe it works like yours, and we are kindred spirits, so we will see. Anyway, a lot of this was scraps I thrifted, found, recycled, reused, repurposed, rescued, all of the fabrics here. The only things I've purchased would be things that I thrifted, and none of it is new. I don't know for sure how old all of it is, but I'm pretty sure most of it is vintage. I don't have any on this, but my mother-in-law also gave me some of her offcut scraps, as well as her fabric scraps, as well as her offcuts from these quilts, so her quilt squares. So I do have lots of that to play with, but the fabrics that I'm going to use for this, for the most part, are going to be those that I have mostly found. The apples were an apron that had a stain on one side that I just couldn't get out. I found the apron at the bins. I like to say that I hard boil those fabrics. I boil them and I wash them when I get them home, and do anything else to make sure that they are absolutely clean before I use them in anything. But those were that apron, so I salvaged what I could. All the denim colors, including these little lovely embroidered bits, were a skirt that I found at the bins. Again, tears in it, and where there was a little tie in it that was all broken. So nobody was going to take that out of the bins. It was just going to go to the landfill, but I loved the color. I didn't have anything blue at the time, and I really loved the lacy bits on it. So I brought it home, cleaned it up, and got all kinds of wonderful scraps from it. This was a scrap from the bins, as was this one, which I think this is probably the newest fabric, if I am learning anything as I go. All of these, like, that probably went together for an Americana quilt were from a thrift store years and years ago. This one I just thought looked Americana. I got that at an antique store. Oh, some of the other Americana were also in that group at the antique store. This one was the antique store. I love this one so much, and it surprisingly goes with almost everything. Anyway, so that's a little bit about how I go about this. Oh, and this wonderful couple of fabrics were also at the bins. They were quite a bear to wash and de-thread, if that's what you call it, and then flatten. So I've had to iron them several times, but I just love them. They're like a linen of some sort, but they were really excellent. And then this one was from an antique store as well, and I got a ton of it for like $1.80, and it's a nice neutral. All right, I am going to show you how I do it, but I'm going to show you a little bit more of the ones that I have made already. This was the very first one that I made, and this was my personal junky junk journal, I call it. So this isn't how I would sell them normally, although I probably will because they're super fun. It was just a composition notebook that I gutted. I left some of the pages, and then turned it into my personal junk fest, which I love. Oops, this is my habit planner. Anyway, I don't have to get into all this detail. If you like anything that you see and you have questions about it, let me know. But anyway, this was a composition notebook, and I simply put the batting down and chose my fabric pieces, sewed it just into the batting without an under fabric, and then I just glued the batting, the sewn batting, to the composition notebook. So it's a nice hard cover. I just glued it with our friend Fabri-Tac. I love her. She's special. But that's a good glue for fabric if you are looking for that. But you can still see some of my batting sticking out, and even the first time I did it, I wanted to mark out where I put this, and so I used a fabric pen, but I never even washed that pen off, if you can see that. And I just did like a dictionary page to cover the spine, and I didn't do anything to the back, so you can see that. But it was just really my first try at it, and I loved how it turned out. And it was just random scraps again that I have found. Again, this was another apron. I guess that's all. This is a Dollar Tree fabric, and I think this is like a Walmart fabric, but I didn't buy them outright. I found them at a thrift store. I think at St. Vincent's near me. But anyway, that was the first time that I did it, and I fell in love with it because it is so like soft. So now I love putting that Amazon packaging in to give it that nice crinkly diaper sound. So that was the first one. The second one that I did was just this little one, again my personal junker, and this I just the innards is just bubble wrap, bubble packaging from Amazon, and I sewed fabric inside the spine, and I put the batting, let's see if you can see it. I just sewed the batting and the, oops, looks like I glued it too. I can't really tell. But I sewed the batting onto the bubble wrap. This was just, again, my personal, so then I did a little piece of fabric spine, still the bubble packaging is under there. It's just one signature that I made out of a greeting card, and the back of it is the cover of Velveteen Rabbit. I found the cover on the floor at Goodwill in the book section, but not the book. And so I always said, Lonely is a book without a cover, but I never found the book. Lonely is a cover without a book. Maybe I'll have to edit that out. I'm new to this, recording too, so. But anyway, that was easy, and it's just a one signature that I overfilled into that one. Then the next one that I made is one that I have on sale on my Etsy shop, and it is called the Sun-Kissed Scrappie Patchie. This one I did a little differently also, but it's big. It's quite big. Whoops. Got some goodies falling right out of there. So this one is Amazon packaging again with some batting, and then I, let's see, how did I do this one? With some batting, and then I did this spine separately quilted. Let's see, can you see? It's just a couple of fabrics that has that Amazon package in there, but I sewed the spine then as a separate piece, and then I connected it by sewing to the front and the back pieces. And although this back piece is not a Scrappie Patchie, that's what I call them, because my Etsy shop is Dizzy and Lizzie, both with IEs, so I call them Scrappie Patchie IE. I don't know if I feel like I'm going to have to explain that all the time. Maybe I'll stop spelling them that way, but that's what I call them, Scrappie Patchies. And anyway, I just, again, put all my pieces onto a batting because the fabric kind of sticks. It grabs onto the batting. I put all my pieces on. I wanted my focal point to be this flower from a placemat. And I didn't think ahead. I was just doing it for fun. And so then when I loved it, then I added this Scrappie binding, and then I attached it with this separate piece for the back and a separate piece, separate piece for the spine, separate piece for the back and the front, but they're sewn really, really well together. You can see how heavy that is, and they're not going anywhere. So yeah, this is you can hug this book. I love it. It's been for sale for a while, so part of the reason that I'm on YouTube is to start to garner a little bit more of a following, and if people like me, hopefully they'll go check out my my store if you're interested in these. I just did a book illustration that I just glued then to the inside instead of doing a fabric inside, and I just glued this pocket on here. I made a separate little teeny tiny book that goes with this one and in that pocket. But anyway, this is the sun-kissed Scrappie Patchie that is for sale. Holly Hoppy. And if you would like to see more, it is on my Etsy shop, or let me know and I can send some pictures, or if you have any questions. I would say this one, again, I was just practicing and I just was putting scraps down. I do like to find some sort of cohesiveness to it. I actually started with this kind of hippie color daisies because I had done this back page, and I made this little pocket out of that same fabric, and then the back out of that fabric. So I just, when I got this fabric, which was from Goodwill, I did not love it. I love it now, but I didn't love it then. So while I told myself I was practicing, I would use a fabric that I didn't love as much. So on the front, I started with this, and all the other pieces just kind of fell into place. When I show people this in person, they're surprised by this brown ditzy floral, and I was too, but I wanted a neutral on there that wasn't just plain. But I think it kind of goes. I mean, I love it, but I wonder if it's not selling because it's just a little too off. So let me know if there's anything about it that you find unappealing, or maybe don't do that. I gotta edit this. A lot of these fabrics were from my mother-in-law's offcuts. This I believe to be feed sack or flour sack. I got it a long time ago at an antique store. And this one I believe is genuinely vintage. It's really, really cool. And I think and this was a curtain at St. Vincent's. This is part of that little skirt that I got at the bins again. That's on the one that I made last night. Oh, look at that. Ah, this one has more sound. I must have done a different inside. Anyway, this one is Sun-Kissed Scrappie Patchie. Okay, and then I made this little one, which is not, I have the signature almost ready, not totally ready, but this one. is the first time that I planned ahead enough to choose a fabric as the inside layer so that I didn't have to mess around with connecting the spine to the sides. But I did, again, just do one flat piece of batting. And I don't measure. I try really hard not to plan at all because I'm trying to embrace imperfection. And it's quite fun. This one, I love the colors of this one. Every time I'm looking at junk journals, I love when people do the vintage, old, antique, neutral colors. I love them. But every time I start to make something, I realize I have so much color in my products. And then I'm in love with that as well. Some really good vintage. I don't think this one is Peter Pan, but it was with a Peter Pan fabric from Goodwill. Lots of quilt pieces from my mother-in-law. This was from the bins, this gorgeous tulle, I don't know how you say that. This is a very popular Eddie Bauer shirt, or LL Bean. I can't remember now. But it was at the bins. It was perfect colors, and I love it. This one was also at the bins, and I love it. It's kind of like not upholstery, but maybe you would use it for curtains or something heavier. It's quite sturdy, and I love how it frays. In fact, I saw it peeking out at the bins, and I thought it was like the end of little girls' jeans or something that are supposed to be frayed. But I gravitated toward it, and when I pulled on the little bit that was sticking out and discovered that it was fabric, I then discovered there was an entire pile of fabrics folded neatly and nicely underneath it. Again, in the bins. I just had to dig. I don't have a name for this one. Maybe it will be the flamingo. Yeah, that's it. This is the flamingo Scrappie Patchie. And I just have to bind that together, which I'll just simply do this one signature right into the binding. I love that one. That's just a little, maybe traveler's notebook size, but it's smaller. It's a little bigger than a checkbook. I'd say, though, if you got a quilted checkbook cover, that this would be that size, I guess. Okay, the ones that I'm working on. This one, my next endeavor is to try to incorporate paper and cardboard into my scrappies. I don't have a batting or anything on this. I just was playing. Oh, I do. I have a real thin batting. So that one is in process. I also have an old quilt that I am starting to cut into. It's just beautiful, and I can make a bunch of covers of all different sizes. This is the back fabric that it came with, and I'm discovering how to pull this apart and then slide bits of cardboard in between these stitches so that it is strong enough to not flap. You know how fabric, if it's not sturdy, it'll just kind of fall. So I'm figuring out some solutions for that. So this one has a spine, but not a back yet. This is a different kind of quilt. I did not do this quilt. This was a pattern in a gorgeous old quilt that I found that was in rather major disrepair. I still had trouble cutting into it, though. I think the interior fabric for this mixture is going to be this light pink rose bud. I think that will be, it's not coming up as pink, I don't think, in the video, but I think it looks pretty together. And so this is just a bit from the Kleenex boxes that I get, and I love that. I like the colors with what I was working on, so I thought, I wonder if I can quilt that in. I don't know how it'll take, but that's in process. This fabric was a free sample. Antique lace. This was part of a skirt. This is the part of that same skirt. Antique doily. Handkerchief. This is rather new fabric. I found it at a garage sale. She had lots of new quilting fabrics. This I think is vintage, but I can't find it online. I got it at a antique store. This was at an antique store, this vintage 90s Waverly print. This is a napkin. It's an entire napkin, but I cut the trim off of, I got it at the bins. So that's where I like sharing that the things that I have found. This fabric was at the bins too, this glorious. Can you see how pink that is? I love it, it's super soft. I love fabric. I didn't know that I would. This says California Fabrics. I don't think I've looked at that one. Google Lensed it yet. That's one that's in process. Another one that is in process is, this is exciting. This is exciting, and I wonder if you will think it is exciting as I do. Okay. This was a adorable dress from the bins that was in disrepair, and I was able to salvage a fair amount of it, and I just love the fabric. This was also a piece that was in the bins. I washed it with something red, so it has turned a slight pink, but this is junk journaling, right? I have miscellaneous pins here, so hopefully I don't hurt myself. But I have attached it to batting. I did buy this batting. Or is this from my mother-in-law? No, I bought this. It's like just a simple felt. And then I just did a craft paper and mailer insert. And then some more batting. I think this was up like this, and this was like this. And then this is an old napkin. I don't exactly remember how I was going to do this. So I'll try not to take too much time attempting to read my own mind, but somehow I'm going to make this bit of the dress into the cover. The cover will look like this. I will sew this little arm to the spine, and I want to keep this bit of the neck of the collar attached, but I don't know how that's going to work either. And I was hoping to keep it so that it could kind of be a bookmark for inside the journal. So like if you open the journal like this, you see the collar would fold in wherever you happen to be working. But I don't know if it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to work. So work in progress. This is going to be the inside fabric for it, which probably doesn't look all that great, all of this together. I don't know, it's a little off. I still have to play. So, but I'm excited about turning this little dress because it's got its own ruffle, you know? I mean, I had to cut off a bunch of the skirt because I was able to save a bunch of the skirt too, but I cut a lot of it off. It was stained, it was torn, you know how that stuff happens, and that's why it was at the bins. I wanted to keep the buttonholes and maybe take the buttons from the other end of it and still attach it here, or do my own different buttons. So let's see. And the packaging, the inside of this is a bubble mailer, which makes a great sound. And it looks like for some added sturdiness, I have sewn in a brochure from the paint store. And when I say it looks like I've done that, it's because I started working on this a long time ago, and if you understand the starting and stopping of projects, then you will feel my pain. Okay, so that is that one. Then this is a little different. This one I just finished today, the whole thing. It is bound. Oh, I still have to put on the little thing there. But it is, you know, maybe a little sister to the one that to the bigger one that I finished last night. Again, this is that skirt that was at the bins. This was the like the underskirt, this part here, just a little bit less. It's not denim, it's just a solid cotton. The inside is this wonderful Americana check, and then it's just one simple signature, all authentic American deliciousness. Vintage, I think all of it is, nope, there's a couple newer things, but most of it is vintage. I guess I'm still undecided if I'm going to provide some sort of pocket for the inside here. I have to think about that a little bit more, but this turned into a cute little pocket up here, somewhat accidentally. I meant for this to be a pocket, but when I started sewing, I just got ahead of myself, and then I was like, oh, darn. But I did leave this bit open, and I didn't do the greatest job of getting it in a perfect alignment, but a pencil will fit in there. A pencil will actually fit in here as well, all the way in like that. There can be, you know, a pencil and tweezers. I don't think that'll fit in there, but, you know, certainly paintbrushes, pencils, things like that will fit in this little side bit there. Need to take deep breaths. I'm so excited to be doing this, but I'm also very nervous. Now that I've done all of that, we will dig into our next Scrappie Patchie together. Hopefully I've not lost your interest. Hopefully you fast forward through anything you're not interested in. I have the pile of fabrics that I went through last night to decide. Oh my gosh, look at this wonderfulness. I mean, there's so much. I mean, I could do a million. And there's more in here. Well, these guys. And this guy. So I am not sure in on the topic of filming this. I do a lot of thinking and deciding. So, you know, if you're crafting I would say this is a craft with me video or journal with me, because I'm probably going to bore you to death. I usually pick out my bits while I'm watching TV, because I'll sit for hours, and even though I've already done 3 or 4 of this genre, everyone is different and everyone is new and fun. I saw somewhere online that it's suggested to come up with some sort of maybe focal point, like, yeah, I don't really have one in these last, in the Sun-Kissed Scrappie Patchie, it's that flower, and this was the dragonfly, and the OG was both this label here and the bird. But honestly, I have better luck with less planning and just doing. It's like overly abundant, actually. Gosh, I hope no one is offended by my huge amount of inventory. I do share frequently. I have lots of pen pals, so I send and they send, and it is so much fun. Where to begin? I didn't use any of this in last night's, but I don't know if I'm ready to go that color. And I didn't use any of this, and those are kind of pretty together, are they? I don't know. I think I just have to keep playing them out here. This piece I was thinking I would use to tie around one of these at the end for a closure. It's just a bit of a tear of linen fabric that I found at the bins, took the time to wash and iron, and was it worth it? Maybe. Let me know if you understand that feeling. This was the original fabric that I came into that started me thinking about doing Americana. I have so much of it, and I didn't love it when I first got it, but now it's one of my favorites because the colors just go. It's not as much fun as this pinky. Maybe I need to chant it. I am best at this the less I think about it. I did just think of something else though. I wonder if I should put my scraps on this side and have this as the inside material, just for the sake of, you know, using what I've got. And I could put some bubble wrap in here, which I happen to have a bit of. Here. Let's see. Those are my good scissors. Now the only thing to be careful of when you're sewing into mailing packages is if there's any sticky parts from labels or where they come together, because my sewing machine doesn't love that. Doesn't love it at all. And I've watched a couple gals run into that same problem on their channels. And once you get sticky on your needle on your machine, it'll be you know, a half hour to 20 minutes of cleaning it every time. And so now, as I say that, this is sticky all over it, so this is going to be problematic. But this side could work. Because, am I making sense? So again, this bit has the sticker all over it, so I'm not going to want to sew through that. However, I could use this bit of packaging to make a different kind of journal cover where I just glue a fabric on. And then I don't have to worry about sewing. There. We've got a teeny tiny mini journal. Simple. Kind of. There. Journal in the making. I might need that fabric for neutral because I don't have a lot of it, but I have others. You saw that I have others. What am I talking about? All right, so is this worth keeping? This bit here. It's not quite big enough, so I'm going to shuffle through all of my packing innards to see if I can find something better. Here's my very fancy packaging box. Ooh. Oh. If I cut it, it would make a good ooh, that's very soft. All right, that's one option. I'm just looking for more options because I would rather something crinkly. Here is a scrap of Amazon packaging. There's a little bit of sticky here. What do I need? I think I can avoid the sticker. Let's see if we've got. Oh, here. I swear, I make so many messes. All right, I'm gonna take see, these decisions are so hard for me. I have this regular bubble wrap, but I like to save that for if I ever sell anything. Let me know if you understand. This too. Here. And there is some sticky on there. Maybe I should get rid of all the bits with sticky, but I can't get rid of anything. Ever. Okay, this is it. This all bad. I'm just sharing you the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm going to take this out just in case. So I'm going to cut this. I can't tear it. Looks like it wants to. personally like to make things as hard as possible for myself. So there's still sticky on here, but I can use this for another book. To do more batting, or I do another fabric, but I think I need more batting, which I have. Okay, got lots more of my mother-in-law's off cut. Oh, I cut these into books already. So then I've got this, which is like a thin felt. Oh, that feels pretty good. I don't want it like too thick or it'll be harder to maneuver, and when I stitch it'll pull the fabrics even tighter. Oh, that's pretty nice actually, but let's just see if this batting is better. This is a little softer feeling. I did buy this. This is not remnants. Amazon. Okay, this is the same thickness, really. I don't know where this came from, to tell you the truth. We're going to go with this one. I don't know why. So I'm just going to, again, barely measure, which is like not measure at all. I'm just kind of lining it up with the book underneath, which actually it would make more sense to do it like this. I would say one of my fears of filming is how often someone might be like, Liz, do it this way. But, you know, as I said in the beginning too, we all do it our own way, and sometimes what's right for some is not the way others would do it, and that is okay. When I was first getting into junk journaling, my therapist, I'm not afraid to admit that I have one, was helping me with that fear of, because I have a tendency to feel like I'm not good enough, and she was helping me to lean into that, for lack of a better descriptor, and to just understand that if you go into an art gallery, there might be pieces you absolutely love, or you might leave the entire show thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't love any of that, but there were 12 people buying artwork, so someone loves it. And my therapist reminded me that is what this kind of art is too. It's, you know, some people are going to love it and some aren't. It's not for everyone. And that is okay. I've spent a lot of time, I guess, turns out, trying to appeal to the masses, if that makes sense. I love tearing fabric. It is fascinating to me how straight it usually goes. So yeah, it is okay. Not everyone's gonna love it. And the main reason that I do this artwork is for my own sanity and enjoyment. Like I said, I'm just spritzing with a little bit of water to try to straighten this piece that wants to curl up. And if that doesn't work, I will then iron it, but not while it's attached to plastic. Well, maybe, because I'll forget. This one too. So I always have a little water in this little, I think it's a Ranger mini mister. I also always have a ball jar of water so that I can use it for painting or whatever while I'm sitting here. Because, I don't know, maybe I'm too lazy to get up. But you know when the inspiration strikes and you're just like, oh my gosh, I need to do that right now type of feeling. The act of getting up and going into the other room means I will activate the energy of my dog and my cats and my son and my husband, and then surely there will be questions and there will be food to make and dishes and laundry to do, and then I'll come back in here having not gotten water for my artistry, and I'll forget completely what I was doing. Oh gosh, those are really pretty together. Can't decide if I want to leave that big like that. So I'm just cutting. There's no real plan. I just cut and put it down. Put it down. Who is that? Natasha? Does she say that? From Treasure Books? Glue it down. I think that's Natasha. Gosh, I love junk journal influencers. Aren't they just so wonderful? I mean, every single one. I have, you know, my, I don't know, chorus line, but every person that I watch, you know, has something new to learn and see. I think that's too big. I'm going to have to modify if I want this to be more patchy. I would say maybe if I wasn't doing this with you guys tonight, that I might turn this into a cover that's just these two fabrics, because in my mind right now I'm wondering what the heck I'm going to mix with them. But I think I have some wonderful, sorry, it's so hot in here. I think I have some like mustardy, ooh, I think I do. And then there's this light blue in here, and I certainly have some pinks. So, and so this is the whole palette. Again, this is going to fold into a journal like this. So there will just be the cover. That's how I like to do it. I don't want to mess with other covers, really. And I wanted to point out that the reason I like to just put the fabrics down on this batting is that it grips it kind of like those little letters when we were in elementary school that they would put on a felt board or something. It's just like that. It sticks. Oh, I lost that little bit, didn't I? I like to have the most frayed sides on the outside, just my personal preference. Can you guys still see everything okay? Yeah, you can see my pile of goodies. All right. Oh, look at this one, for instance. I did iron it, but I can't get the wrinkles out after I washed it. This will be a nice, ooh, neutral. You guys see that color? It's got the yellow in it that's in the, it's in this one. So a moment ago I was talking about how, lots of things, but I'll probably forget completely what I was talking about. One of the things was I was sitting here talking about how I didn't think I would have other fabric that would go, and then I don't know if you saw me just lift a fabric and there was a fabric that I think will go. It's how it works. That is how it works. Like, there's, again, the less thinking, the more successful. It is kind of good to overlap them as much as you can, the pieces, because when you go to sew it, depending on the tension on your machine, which I don't know enough about, and so I'm not going to futz with it because it actually is working right now instead of, my machine is working right now instead of arguing with me all the time because she's finicky. But the tension, you know, is going to pull it, is going to pull the bits pretty tight, so you lose a bit of space. So overlap your patches best that you can. And I started to also say that I love having the frayed bits on the outside. Kind of, it's probably not enough overlap there. I'm undecided about this color here, but I know there are ways to make it work. Make it work. That is from Project Runway. Ooh, which is the first time I ever saw a sewing machine in use, and it scared me so much. I thought I could never do that because I could not. I was so scared of sewing machines. Oh, I've been so scared of my machine. I'm so happy for junk journaling that it introduced me to my sewing machine. We are friends. We do argue, as friends, sisters often do. I'm just playing by turning that over. That's prettier. Oh dear. I don't know what's going to happen here. I guess I just kind of play it until I feel like it looks good, which again could take hours and hours. So I will time lapse this video for you. Okay, I'm going to need to start to incorporate another color here. What will it be? Blue? Maybe? Let's try it. This was part of a skirt, so there's some seam in there, but I like that, so I'm going to actually try to put that in here. See that seam? I like it because it just reminds me that this was once something else, and I'm turning it into something new. She says, with complete confidence. I do have pinking shears, but I've learned recently that pinking shears are most often used for fabric because they stop the fraying. And in this kind of instance, I don't want to stop the fraying. Can't stop the fray. Oh no, don't sing, Liz. Do not sing. That would be bad. Don't hate it. It might all change at the end, and you might severely regret having watched this. I might severely regret having done it. But I will say, it is fun to talk to you, because my son and my husband, they love me, they support me, they help me when I need it, but they don't love to junk journal, and they don't love to talk about it all the time like I do. So a long time ago, they both suggested to me that I start doing this on YouTube because I could talk to people who get it. And yet, it's taking me a long time to do it because I'm scared. I like this one too. This was at the bins. Do you know what the bins are? So I'm in the United States. That's probably obvious to those who don't have an accent like mine. I'm in Wisconsin on top of it, speaking of accents, and I am originally from the suburbs of Chicago. So I have a bit of a Chicago accent, Wisconsin accent. All of it is, I've been told, can be annoying to people who don't live here. But hopefully you are enjoying my voice. Anyway, I'm in the US and we have Goodwill, and we happen, where I am, to have a Goodwill outlet right about 20 minutes from me. Not even 20 minutes. It's the Sturtevant, Wisconsin bins. If you know about bins, and if you're on forums that talk about the bins on Facebook, then you hear people talking about the Sturtevant bins a lot. Sturtevant, Wisconsin. I don't know why, but there's a lot of us who go to it, and basically it's where the things that don't sell at Goodwill go to die. Oh my god, that sounded terrible, but it's kind of true. It's like their last attempt. I'm going to stop talking about it like that. I'm getting distracted. Things that don't sell at Goodwill go to the bins. Not everything. I don't know how they choose. So lots of the things you find there will have Goodwill stickers on them, but the price means nothing. It is a by the pound store. So at the end of your shopping, digging experience, at the counter, the checkout counter, you wheel, at my bins anyway, you wheel your cart onto a scale in the floor, and then they charge you by the pound, depending on what you got. Now, books at my bins are $1, no matter the size. Some folks have bins where there's a different price for like big hardcover books, I guess. But all of mine are $1, and I love it. Now, sometimes at like St. Vincent de Paul, I can find children's books for 59 cents. So sometimes it makes more sense to go to St. Vincent's. However, at St. Vincent's, they've done a little bit more to decide what they put on their shelf. So you're often not going to find as many books in disrepair as you would at the bins. Don't fret about this. It's a work in progress. And so I find a lot of old books in disrepair at the bins. Now, another thing that goes to the bins is sometimes if there's a huge estate sale that happens, or many of them on a weekend, if there's too much product and not enough people at the local Goodwills to sort it, price it, display it, then they'll just send that to the bins. It won't even go into the store. So sometimes you'll find tubs of things that look like they just were dropped off by the owner. And that is often the good stuff. And now I don't know if that is completely the truth. Like, I'm pretty sure that's how it happens. I've heard that online, but I've not like had an employee of Goodwill tell me that. So, but I do often see the big tub of stuff that looks like it just got dropped off, you know, and hasn't gone through a pricing. So that's the other thing. There's no price on things. It's these big rolling troughs that they roll down like a line of them, and then there's a space for people and carts, and then they roll down another line of these bins, and everything is just thrown into them willy-nilly. It's a lot of clothes at my bins, not a lot of home goods. The fabrics, for instance, are typically tossed in with the clothes, like the textile fabric bits. So you really have to dig. Like I was saying, when I found that this fabric, it was hiding underneath mountains of clothes, which now that I've gotten into this hobby, I'm used to mountains, because if you could see my whole room, you would know that I'm familiar with mountains of stuff. I swear, I'm not a hoarder yet, but I could see how it could happen to someone quickly. I mean, I'm not hating this, but I'm not loving it either. I have to free this some more. Yeah, so the bins. My friends, when I tell them that I love it, can't believe that it's me talking, but also they can't believe that I'm using a sewing machine like on a daily basis. They can't believe that I'm into these Grandma Core Fabrics. They can't believe, like, it's a new Lizzie. A new Lizzie has arrived on the scene. And I personally like her a whole lot more than the old Lizzie. So I'm going to keep her. And new Lizzie loves to dig through the bins. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it is the thrill of finding the treasure, the thrill of perhaps finding a lot of things and paying a very minimal amount. You know, all these things are part of it for sure. But it's all those things. It's all those things, and there's some sort of validation that I get from it personally that is like the ability to notice the treasure, to see the beauty in something that someone else threw away. Not threw away, but gave away, didn't want to keep. I know some of you will understand that, and I'm not articulating it ideally. But not everyone can see that. I don't know that everyone has that ability. And so for me, it feels like a talent. And there was one day I was going through the bins, and there was a lady who may have been stalking my cart, frankly, but every time we would make eye contact, she would say, "Oof, you have the best haul I have ever seen." And I was like, "Thank you." Like, that was the best compliment I could have ever been given. And I think, you know, that somehow plays a part in this, in my joy. Now there's another part of my story that I guess I'm going to tell you now, which is I spent the last 7 years in chronic, excruciating pain. And it was just really last October, so not even a year, that my doctors and I found a good recipe for my body that's helping me feel okay. Feel great, actually. I've never felt this great. I'm losing weight and I'm able to be active. And so I get a lot of joy out of just being able to do things, to leave my house and accomplish something somewhere else than in my house. However, I love this hobby so much that I'd really rather not leave the house. But yeah, now that I have the ability to walk, I love going to the bins because I can stand. I'm not hating having to stand and sift and dig. Oops. And I have heard sometimes that there's quite a number of us who have perhaps found this hobby while seeking sanity in a personal hell of pain. So you're not alone. If you have that was me, it is me if I don't follow my prescription. And my prescription is not, just medication. It's all the things. And finding this hobby has brought me a level of sanity that has helped me get better and maintain getting better. I'm hoping that makes sense. If you have been there before, you know, shoot me a comment. Let's talk about it, because there's a lot of people who don't talk about it. There's a lot of people who feel they can't. There's a lot of people who have tried everything and can't find solutions, and so they end up just staying quiet and alone. And I don't want that for you. I didn't want that for me, and I don't want that for you. And I want you to know that you can have hope. I obviously, I can't speak for every ailment with which we suffer, but if your situation was anything like mine, perhaps you can take some joy from knowing that I am in recovery, and you can be too, potentially. I don't know if I have explained this well. Gosh, what are you guys thinking of this? I just keep adding. It's nice to just be talking, because then I don't think about it, but then I look down and I'm like, eh. I will say that last night, while I was working on this one, after I got most of it done, I did leave the room. I did do the dishes and some laundry and the litter box. And then when I came back in, and I just left it on my desk. So when I came back in, I had a fresh set of eyes, and I actually looked at it and I was like, oh my God, I love that. And so it was like a good exercise in leaving it alone for a little while. So I'll probably have to do that with this too. Before I finally decide. Okay, so what else can we talk about? I started to talk about influencers and these junk journal wonder makers. And I just, you know, I want to take the time to say thank you. If any of them are watching me, or if any of you happen to know them or talk to them, you know, don't forget to thank your influencer. Let's put it that way. And, you know, tip them if you can, if they ask for a coffee, or however that works. I don't know how that works, but I do find them on there often and try to send a cup of coffee whenever I can, because in my experience, they have saved my life. I was in somewhat of a pit of despair, thinking I'm never going to, you know, have a life again, that I am forever going to be cooped up in my house. And by forever cooped up, you better believe that with the help of 18 different doctors, we came up with all kinds of ways for me to not be cooped up. And I'm not gonna lie, every one of them was difficult. When you're in pain, everything is in pain. Everything. The sun is in pain. It causes pain. I had to be patient with doctors. I had to be patient with wait times and appointment setting. I had to, and I'm glad that I did, because I think that paid off. So if you're in that boat, please don't give up. Please keep telling them that you need help. And please keep telling them that you know there is help and you want them to find it, because that's their job. And I know that if you're like me, you're probably spending quite a bit of time trying to figure out the help for yourself because you feel like they're not doing it for you. In my case, they were doing it, but not at the level I wanted them to be doing it, because my life circles around me, right? And I have a very old school vision of doctoring for some reason, where I think they should be constantly thinking about how to solve their patients' problems. And maybe it's from, you know, growing up with shows about hospitals or something. Is it just me, or is this kind of nice? She says with complete confidence. I'm messing with these deep burgundy pieces because I love them the most, and I feel like I've neutralized them the most. So I'm trying to bring them forward again. Oh, I don't know. I'm not against it, but it's missing. Something. Now, the more small pieces I have, the more work it will be for my machine. But that's okay. I have to pause for a moment to ask my son to come grab the cat. Oh, I don't know. How's that looking to you guys? Kind of cute? When folks in the forums asked for a tutorial, I'm going to assume that they didn't really want me to explain I guess the art of choosing the right bits and pieces, because I don't know exactly how to explain that. You just play until you like it enough. Thank you. I asked for this project for my son to keep close eye on our kittens, who are a year old and wonderful, and I love them, and they have special spaces in this room. However, despite those special spaces, they lay wherever they want. And I let them. And so instead of, I don't know, kicking them out so that I can finish a project, I just stop doing my project. So it's one more distraction that throws me off. And I mean, it's not like a bad thing, but I did want to do this because you asked me to, and because I've been wanting to, and this is the perfect opportunity to give it a try. So thank you for pushing me outside of my comfort zone. Thank you for being here and listening to this and watching this, which is probably super boring. The strings are another animal. So anyway, if you guys like my video enough, and I continue to do this, you will surely meet our kittens. They are two gigantic orange boys named Cheeto and Dorito. And they are very funny and crazy. And they make a mess. They make a big, huge mess everywhere they go. And so, like I said, I have designated spots for them because I know they're going to want to make a mess. But they don't lay there. They're like, what are you talking about? We don't want to lay there. We want to lay on top of these books. We want to lay on top of these papers. And then we want to see a bird outside the window, and we want to take off so fast that our feet push these papers all over the floor. That's what we want to do, Mom. And most of the time, I can only blame myself. So I let them. Because I love them. But for tonight, it was a special deal. My husband is home, so that also helps. And they can collectively take care of the animals. We have a dog and the 2 kitties. Okay, all right. I don't know. What are you guys thinking? Wish I knew. Oh, that's interesting though. I'm finding myself concerned about what you think instead of just going with my gut. So I'm going to initiate my therapist, where she would say, go with your gut. And my gut led me here. So I'm going to stick with it. I actually think it's really cute. But it is funny. Like, who would have thought? Like this piece and this piece don't have a match to echo. And my career and my 30-year career before I was struck with my chronic pain was landscaping. That's what I am professionally trained in, and it is what I've done, my whole life. And we learn in landscape design about echoing colors and shapes and textures in the landscape for balance. So I guess that is some advice that I could pass on, and something I like about doing this sort of work in junk journaling is I get to use that part of my brain that I haven't used since I had to quit that line of work. And so I suppose that, maybe that is a creative branch that not everyone has. I guess what I'm saying is I look at this and I think anyone could do this. Like, as a way to say, I'm not special. But I have to remember that it's likely not everyone could do this, and that someone out there is going to love that I did this. Because I have a tendency to think I'm not good enough. I think there's nothing special about it. Now, did I do the focal point that we talked about in the beginning? No, I didn't. And I still don't know what what it'll be, but I don't really think it needs it, to be honest, because it's just so cute. It's really cute. In case you can't see all the colors. Can you see all the colors? It's very cute. Oh, I love it. Okay, so now I'm just kind of cleaning up a little bit. I swear, every time I feel like I've used material and that there should be a dent in my piles, I feel like what actually happened is I just created more. More little bits, more little tiny scraps. Sometimes I do have to toss the occasional scrap because there's just no place to put them, to be honest. And although I don't necessarily want you to have to be here through my cleaning up, I did want to share with you the whole process. So part of that is cleaning up as I go, because I don't have enough space to make huge mess after mess. Look at how cute this fabric is. I forgot about this guy. That would be a cute under. That would be a cute under layer. And it's kind of the perfect size. Alright, so I don't know if you remember me talking about possibly just leaving this as my inside fabric, but I don't love this as the inside fabric. So we're going to move in this one. So I'm going to put it upside down. Ooh, it's a super soft cotton. And then I think the way I explained it originally was lay this one down, then the batting and the innard, all the innards. So that's all the innards. And then this is my very thin batting with the scraps. And what I'm gonna do is put some little, I guess they're called quilting clips. I will clip them to bits of where the fabric pieces are. For the most part, you guys, the fabric bits kind of stick together. I don't know how that is, but indeed when I go to the sewing machine and I start moving it around, some of them are going to want to stick to my arm or fall off, and I will inevitably find some on the floor after I'm done and wonder how I filled that hole. But until then, I will do my best to at least hold down some of the bits. And if you need to, you could also use little pins like these to pin them in place. Those are hard for my fingers. These are easier for my fingers. But any kind of clip, any kind of situation. Sorry, that's probably really loud to you guys. I have to say, I'm reminded yet again that I'm going to do little spurts of water again. Maybe that'll kind of hold it in place a little better too. That something I was always reminded of at the end of a landscape project, especially because I dealt mostly in perennial flower designs, is that all the planning and all of the architecture and all of the digging and logistics of deliveries and trucks and digging in the end, as far as flowers go, I mean, sure, there's ways to be more, sometimes more architecturally special or whatever, but colors just kind of go together. Flowers love flowers. So I have to remember that it's going to come together in the end somehow, despite my fret. All right, so what am I doing now? I'm fretting. This piece probably isn't thick enough. I'm probably going to run into some trouble, but there is some problem solving that I do on the fly, and that's one of the things I'm embracing about this hobby. All right, what I have to do is I have to cut this fabric. I like to cut it slightly bigger than the perimeter, and then try to, let's see, can you see this? Then try to fold the extra over the inner layers, and then it kind of makes its own little bound edge where I can still highlight the fray of the other fabrics. So I'm going to cut it. I don't want it this big though, because that's going to be too bulky when I go, especially to fold the corners and sew the corners. So, and of course I overthink it always. I think about how am I going to have enough, like how can I cut it so that I can still use whatever's left over. Just like this. I could probably even that's a nice little leftover piece. If you guys could see my clothes right now, I'm totally covered in frayed threads. And I love it, but it's all very strange. Okay, so again, we're cleaning up that pile. My brain needs to declutter. All right, you guys can see everything. I'm going to cut this slightly. Maybe not. I'm going to leave that much of an edge. I'm going to trim the corners ever so slightly. I never do it as well as they show it on TV. I don't mind doing a little Christmas present fold of them, but it does help to reduce the bulk slightly. And then so now I am going to lift off my top two layers, and we're down to the innards again. And I am going to fold these over to make that faux. I don't know if it's a faux seam, it just kind of looks like it. I'm going to do more of these cute little doodads. I've never been a scrapbooker, So at first, the idea of this was like, Liz, are you kidding? You will never be a junk journaler. But I am. And that's when I started watching these influencers make these beautiful creations. I gotta take a little breather here. Actually, I'm gonna take a potty break and walk around a little bit. And then I'm gonna move you over to my sewing machine, and you will meet my sewing machine